Kia ora te whānau, welcome to the fucking Woo Woo podcast. My name's Tommy. I'm a counsellor, musician, and medicine person. I developed this podcast. Developed. There was a lot of fucking development went on. I developed this podcast. I developed. I'm doing this fucking podcast because people say that they like because I struggle with life, and people say they like the solutions I come up with for those struggles. So I want to talk about mistakes, okay? Because I make a lot of mistakes. Now I want to be clear here. I'm not going to tell you that I make mistakes on purpose. I don't make mistakes on purpose. In fact, I try not to make the same mistake twice. Though the mother of my children will tell you that I'm not that if that's my intention, I'm not tracking so well in terms of progress. You know what I mean? But here's the truth of it, right? What I found as a counselor, as a friend, as a partner, as a parent even, and certainly as a therapist, is that and as a medicine person, I think I already said the counselor part, the therapist part. What I've found is that we all know this, right? We all learn from our mistakes, right? You make a mistake, that's sometimes the biggest teaching moment. But what I have found is that when I have made mistakes that have caused ruptures in relationships, either with a client or with a friend or a partner or a child, the act of repair, the act of actually taking responsibility, like me owning, I made a mistake here, I didn't hear you properly, or I projected, or I misunderstood, or whatever it is that I've done wrong, my actions weren't helpful, whatever it was, the approach I took. When I take responsibility for that, when I show someone that I have wronged them, I have made a mistake with them, and I own it and I take responsibility for it, and I meaningfully ask them, what can I do to repair that? That repair work not only repairs the rupture, makes amends for the trespass or the mistake, the transgression or whatever, but it actually strengthens the relationship. And so I have found that by making mistakes, I sometimes end up doing some of the very best work. I think I said very best work just then. That would be an example of a mistake. Probably didn't cause any ruptures for any of you. Fuck this podcast. He said bury instead of very. We're out of here. So I make mistakes. I'm going to make mistakes on this podcast, right? Like I'm going to fucking misquote like if it's Gabor Mate, if it's fucking Freud and Jung especially, because I've never read any of their shit. I'm not going to say, I'm not an academic, by the way. Like I'm not going to get shit right. You are going to have to do your own research. You're going to need a fucking fact checker everything I say to you, okay? Because most of it's going to be incorrect. But hopefully it's the essence. That's what I like to think. It's the essence that I'm getting to. And so for those of you who are real analytical and like want the facts and the figures, this is not the fucking podcast for you, my friends. This is the wrong fucking... You knocked on the wrong door. Yeah. So that was the first thing I wanted to say. About mistakes. So yeah, I'm here for mistakes, and you can write in the comments about all the mistakes I make, and I might even I probably won't. No, I don't think I will. I don't think I'll be getting involved in those comments. I think my self-esteem's pretty good. My self-esteem's real good, but I think my ego's too fragile. I don't want to read a bunch of negative fucking comments. I don't know what you guys are going to say. But then my ego would love it if you made some good comments, right? Like if someone was saying some nice shit about this podcast, I want to read that shit. It's a double-edged sword, right? Okay. Now the other thing I thought I'd talk about is woo-woo, fucking woo-woo. Why do I call it the fucking woo-woo podcast? I just heard someone say woo-woo, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, and I thought that was fucking cool. I was like, yeah, I mean, look, here's the thing, right? So I grew up on Aotearoa, which is New Zealand, and my mother was a hippie, and I spent my summers up in Coromandel, which is where a whole bunch of hippies settled in the early 70s, and circus tents, and smoking marijuana by the river, like these are the images of my childhood, and then I guess what, like I'm 13 and I'm just deciding what music I like, and You know, grunge and all that shit's happened, but I wasn't really that angry. Well, okay. I was angry as fuck. I just didn't know how angry I was. So yeah, I liked a little bit of Smells Like Teen Spirit. You know what I mean? I liked a little Hunger Strike. You know what I mean? I liked a little Give It Away. But at 13, I'm like, what's my music, man? Like, what do I like? And I like the sound of acoustic guitars. You know, I like the sound of Cat Stevens' voice. You know, I like the lyrics of Joni Mitchell and the vibe of the Grateful Dead. And then someone shows me fucking Neil Young. Are you fucking kidding me? Neil Young? When you're 13 years old and smoking marijuana and someone plays you Neil Young? Forget about it. That was it, man. Neil became my fucking god for like, at least, I don't know, 15 years till I found a dude called Jason Molina. You guys probably haven't heard of Jason Molina. Anyway, what am I talking about? Can I pause this thing? I don't even know what the point of this particular one is. Okay, I'll talk about something. So Jason Molina became my favorite songwriter. And the same week that Jason Molina died of organ failure due to alcoholism. So I got clean when I was a teenager, right? I got clean when I was 17. I was actually a month after my 17th birthday. 2 months. 2 months after my 17th birthday, I got clean. It was my third rehab, my 6th or 7th attempt to give up drugs. And I got clean from 17 until I was 37. And at 37, I started working with plant medicines. I didn't take anything recreationally for another 5 years. Didn't take a recreational drug, try any recreational drugs, but I took plant medicines in ceremonial contexts for 5 years. Anyway, me and the mother of my children were pregnant, and we'd had a miscarriage a few months earlier, and I was really worried that we were going to miscarry again. You know, I was scared about that. My whole life I'd wanted to be a musician. I'd always wanted to be a musician, and at about 30, I realized, fuck, that's not going to happen. I'm never going to be able to make a living from music, you know. This counseling thing, which I'd always just seen as like my straight job, you know, like my day job. I'm just fucking doing this counseling thing until I become a big rich rock star, and then I can save the world like Bob Geldof. I was waiting for that to happen. And I realized at a certain point it wasn't going to happen. It broke my fucking heart. And I was pretty brokenhearted for 3 years. And if it wasn't for this amazing woman, Nicola, the mother of my children, if it wasn't for her and the love we had, that heartbreak would have been, I don't know what that would have been like for me. But I had this loving, deeply loving relationship with her, and that helped me through. And we created a new vision, which is, instead of me being a big rich rock star who saves the world, I'm going to be a father. And so we decided to have kids. And then we had this miscarriage, and it was like, fuck God, you fucking took being a rock star off me. Now the fucking baby's dead. Fuck you. And I was pretty hard, man. I was pretty hard. And we got pregnant the second time, and I was really scared, man. I didn't think we were going to keep this one. And it was a few months into the pregnancy, and I get a phone call from my friend. And so I first tried to get clean when I was 14. I was going to Narcotics Anonymous meetings in my lunch break from high school. I got a special dispensation so I could get off third period, walk down Cuba Street, down to this church, and the back room of this church, and go to this Narcotics Anonymous meeting with all these fucking bogan heroin addicts from the 90s. I'm 14, and they're all fucking in their, 30s and 40s, and maybe there's one or two in their late 20s. There was this one guy in his late 20s. He was hard as fuck, man. He was a punk rocker. He was like punk as fuck. And he took me under his wing anyway. And basically in NA and AA, you have a thing called it wasn't necessarily NA. Could have been one of many self-help fellowships. I won't say which one. Could have been NA, could have been AA, could have been MA, could have been GA. There's lots of different self-help fellowships, lots of different 12-step fellowships. I won't get specific. And I went to one of them anyway. And I met this guy. And I actually went to a few of them, so I can honestly say that I went to a few of them. So you don't know which one I'm talking about. This guy, he said to be my sponsor anyway. It's like your mentor, you know. They don't literally pay you money to sponsor you to do anything. They're your mentor. Just they call it sponsor for some reason. And he was my sponsor from 14. And I relapsed all these times, and every time he'd see me on the street high, he'd never judge me. Like, hey Tommy, how you doing? I'd be like, oh fuck. Hey Bede. How you doing, Bede? He's like, I'm good, man. Come here, give me a hug. I was like, are you sure? You know, I felt so ashamed. I felt so ashamed seeing him when I was high. But he never judged me. And I'd come back into the rooms, you know, and get 3 months up and 6 months up and 1 month up, and I just relapse and relapse and relapse. You know, I just couldn't get it. Anyway, I got it at 17. I got it at 17, and I stayed clean for 20 years before I tried plant medicine. And a lot of people would say that once I tried plant medicine, I was still clean. So that just depends on how you conceptualize plant medicine, what you think of that. Anyway, before I tried plant medicine, we were pregnant with who turned out to be our first son, Cassidy, and he's alive and well and thriving. Thank you very much for your love and concern. So I'll give you the happy ending right now, because I'm about to tell you some real dark shit. So when I had this crisis of faith, Bede, who'd been my sponsor since I was 14 and had just sat with me for thousands of hours in cars after dropping me home from a meeting of an undisclosed 12-step fellowship, and he would just pump me full of positivity and wisdom, which was a cross between like general 12-step recovery kind of wisdom and concepts, but really more like Henry Rollins kind of fucking punk rock kind of positivity, because he was a complete atheist. He had no belief whatsoever in a higher power. Like, his higher power was like 2 heads are better than 1. He did not believe that there was anything mystical going on in space-time whatsoever. He was like, you know, because step 2, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. He's like, a power greater than ourselves is the power of the group. He had no mystical, ethereal thing going on. Which is kind of funny, because I did, like, pretty early on my journey. Maybe not those first few years while I was relapsing, but pretty much as soon as I went to my 3rd rehab, Queen Mary Hospital down in Hanmer Springs, which is one of the most sacred places in the fucking planet, in the universe, in the multiverse. It's a high potency fucking place. And so spirit became an active part of my life real early on, but it wasn't for him. Anyway, he'd be drilling this shit into me, you know, just fucking building me up. Terrible fucking self-esteem, no self-worth. Just wanted to find some woman to rescue me. And I came into recovery heartbroken as well, of course. Anyway, he just filled me with love and wisdom and inspiration. I hadn't seen him for a little while because he moved to Auckland. And I was up there playing a gig. My band was doing their album release. And it was the second, might have even been the third. Might have been the first album release with my kind of more sort of alternative country band. Might have just finished things up with the reggae hip-hop band and was now doing this alternative country thing. Anyway, he was there at the gig. And him and me went for a walk before I played. And I said, fuck, Bede, I'm having a crisis of faith, man. I said, look, I don't believe in, I don't know if I believe in God anymore, you know? I don't know if I believe in spirit anymore. My just so you know, just for your curiosity's sake, my awareness of spirit was never like a monotheistic Christian Judaic kind of God. It was never like a kind of Santa Claus kind of God. It was like a cross between kind of Maori shamanism, Te Ao Māori concepts of spirituality with some kind of Eastern kind of mysticism, you know, some of the kind of more concepts from the Vedas and stuff like that. That was my concept of kind of source consciousness, and at that time. And I said to him, yeah, I've lost my faith. And he looked at me with a smile. He was a big fucking guy, this guy, you know, tall and had a face like a fucking one of the Beagle Boys, like an old comic, like had a cartoon smile, like a baby face, with a big fucking smile and no hair. And he goes, oh, finally, with a big smile on his face, like it was like I'd arrived, you know what I mean? What do you fucking mean, finally? I'm telling you, I'm fucking devastated. Like, I thought there was an afterlife and we were all one, and I'm having this is not a finally moment. This is a bad moment. I'm not enjoying this. I want to believe, you know, like, this is these ideas have buoyed me. How do you say buoyed? These ideas have lifted me, have uplifted me and given me, Bro, I mean, for my 20s, my late teens and 20s, I saw everything. I conceived all of reality through spirituality. Like, this was a big fucking loss to me. Like, this wasn't just a punch in the gut. This wasn't like losing a girlfriend. It's not like breaking up with someone. This is like, I get to live forever because of these beliefs. Now these beliefs are gone, I don't get to live at all. Like what? To lose your faith is fucking huge anyway, is all I'm trying to say. And he goes to me, oh no, it's great news, Tommy. What do you mean? He goes, because there is no fucking God. There is no fucking spirit, Tom. The universe doesn't give a shit about you. And I'm just like, how is this helpful? This is not the pep talk you give to someone who's saying that they're losing their faith. Like, what? He's like, there's no fucking God. The universe doesn't give a shit about you, man. There's just this fucking moment, Tom. That's all there's ever been. You know, he goes, I get up in the morning and I know there's no God. And I know the universe doesn't give a shit about me. And do you think that makes me want to fucking die? Do you think that makes me want to fucking give up? He goes, fuck no. Fuck no. That makes me want to live. I've only got this fucking day. I've only got this one life. I'm going to make the fucking most of it. And because in that moment, my faith wasn't going to come back for another 5 years or so. Those words meant the world to me. Because I didn't want to die either. I didn't want to fucking die either, man. So a couple of years later, we're pregnant with baby number 2. First baby having passed. And I get a call that Beads died. Tommy Beads died. He wanted to make some money.